Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, let's stop pretending. Let's stop acting like being the nice girl has gotten you what you wanted in life. Because deep down, you know the truth, it hasn't. Being the nice girl got you overlooked at work. Being the nice girl got you ghosted, disrespected, and left on read. Being the nice girl got you friendships where you give 90% and barely get 10 back. And yet, here you are, still trying to be polite, agreeable, understanding, always available, always smiling, always saying yes, when everything in your gut is screaming no. Let me ask you something. When did you start believing that shrinking yourself was the way to be loved? When did you decide that everyone else's comfort matters more than your peace? I'm here to tell you, being the nice girl is a trap. It's the role the world gave you to keep you quiet, soft, and small. But the woman you're meant to be, she doesn't play that role anymore. This speech isn't about turning cold. It's not about turning into somebody fake or bitter. No, it's about turning into somebody honest, somebody strong, somebody real. Because being nice has cost you your time, your energy, your dignity. And if you don't wake up, it's going to cost you your future too. So if you're tired of bending over backwards for people who won't even meet you halfway, if you're done apologizing for your standards, your strength, and your voice, and if you're finally ready to stop being the nice girl and start being the real you, then you need to hear every single word of what's coming next. Let's go. Let's talk about something that's real, but nobody wants to admit. Being too nice is slowly draining the life out of you. And the worst part, nobody even sees it. Nobody claps for your sacrifices. Nobody applauds your loyalty. Nobody notices how much you're carrying, how much you're giving, how much you're swallowing just to keep the peace. You're tired, but you keep showing up. You're hurting, but you smile anyway. You're being stretched thin emotionally, mentally, even physically. But you still find ways to be available, helpful, and supportive to everybody else. And what do you get in return? A quick thanks, maybe. Sometimes not even that. Most of the time, you get ignored, overlooked, or expected to do even more. Because that's what happens when you build a reputation for being the nice girl. People stop checking on you. They assume you're fine because you always act like you are. And deep down, you're angry, not because you want to be praised or celebrated all the time, but because you just want to be seen. You want someone to look at you and say, you don't have to carry all this. You want someone to notice the effort you put in without being asked. But the truth is, the more you give without boundaries, the more people take without thought. The more you show up for everyone, the more they expect you to do it again and again, without even asking how you feel. That's how it starts. You become the emotional dumping ground for friends who never ask how you're doing. You become the go-to fixer in your family, even when you're falling apart yourself. You become the understanding girlfriend or wife who tolerates disrespect in the name of love. You become the helpful coworker who takes on more because you're so nice about it. And before you know it, your life doesn't feel like your own anymore. You've given so much of yourself away that you don't even recognize who's left. And let's be clear, this isn't kindness. Kindness is rooted in love. But what you're doing, that's self-neglect wrapped in a pretty smile. You're not pouring from a full cup. You're running on fumes. And every time you push your own needs aside to make someone else more comfortable, you lose another piece of your self-worth. People aren't going to tell you to stop. They're not going to beg you to rest. They're not going to volunteer to carry your burdens. Because as long as you keep saying yes, they're going to keep letting you. As long as you keep being available, they'll keep showing up empty-handed. That's not their fault. That's yours. You've got to draw the line. you've got to start choosing you. Not in a selfish way, in a survival way. You've got to recognize that nobody is going to rescue you from the exhaustion you created by trying to please everyone. Nobody is going to tell you it's time to stop being the nice girl. That's your job. Because here's the hard truth. Being too nice doesn't earn you respect. It earns you convenience. You become the easy choice, the soft landing, the person people come to when they want something, not when they want to give something. And once you start seeing yourself that way, as valuable only when you're giving, you start living that way too. But you are more than what you can do for others. You deserve friendships where the effort is mutual. You deserve relationships where love is reciprocal. You deserve to be surrounded by people who don't just take. They pour back into you too. But to find that, you have to stop pouring endlessly into people who are perfectly fine letting you go empty. So stop waiting for someone to notice your exhaustion. Stop hoping that someone will finally see all that you do. They won't. Not until you do. Not until you stand up and say, I'm done being the nice girl. I'm done shrinking, bending over, functioning, and pretending I'm okay when I'm not. Your peace matters. Your rest matters. Your feelings matter. And if being nice means constantly putting those things last, then maybe it's time to stop being so nice. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be loving and still say no. You can be soft without being silent. That's not weakness. That's power. And it's time you stepped into it. Let's get something straight. Being nice and being kind are not the same thing. You can be nice and still feel empty. You can be nice and still feel resentful. You can be nice and still feel like nobody really knows you. That's because for a lot of people, especially women, being nice is just a mask. It's a way to avoid conflict. It's a way to dodge rejection. It's fear dressed up in a smile. See, true kindness comes from a place of strength. It's honest, it's open, and it's rooted in love, both for others and for yourself. But niceness is a performance. It's what you do when you're scared that if you say what you really feel, or ask for what you really need, or show who you really are, you might not be liked. So instead of being real, you stay agreeable. You water yourself down. You smile when you want to scream. You stay quiet when you should speak up. That's not kindness. That's fear of rejection in disguise. You're not saying yes because you genuinely want to help. You're saying yes because you're afraid that saying no will make you look rude, ungrateful, selfish. You're not biting your tongue because you've chosen peace. You're biting it because you don't think your truth will be accepted. You're not playing small because it's humble. You're doing it because you're scared of what might happen if you show up fully and boldly. Let's call it what it is. You've been trained to believe that being liked is the most important thing you can be. Since you were a little girl, the message was clear: be nice, be sweet, be pleasant, don't make waves, don't talk back, don't ask for too much. So now, as a grown woman, you're still living by those rules. And it's costing you. It's costing you your voice. It's costing you your boundaries. It's costing you your time and energy and dignity. And worst of all, it's keeping you from being authentic. Because when you spend all your time being nice, you end up becoming a version of yourself that exists only to make others comfortable. And let's be honest, that version of you might be easy to love, but she's not real. You don't have to twist yourself into knots to earn love. You don't have to become smaller to make other people feel bigger. You don't have to put everyone else's feelings ahead of your own to prove that you're a good person. A truly kind woman doesn't say yes to everything. A truly kind woman doesn't allow disrespect. A truly kind woman loves others, but not at the expense of herself. And here's the kicker: when you stop being nice in that fake, fearful way, and start being honest, direct, and firm in love. That's when your confidence starts to rise. That's when your relationships get healthier. That's when you stop walking on eggshells and start walking in power. Because people will begin to meet you at your standard, or they'll remove themselves, and either way, that's a win for you. You don't owe anybody a watered down version of yourself just to be accepted. The people who are meant for you will respect your truth, not just your politeness. And the people who walk away when you stop being the nice girl, let them walk. Because you were never truly free around them anyway. You've spent enough time being the girl who keeps the peace while breaking her own heart. It's time to be the woman who speaks up, sets limits, and protects her energy. That's what real kindness looks like. Not weakness, not fear, but courage. Kindness backed by confidence. So stop hiding behind nice. You weren't created to be quiet, agreeable, and exhausted. You were created to be whole. And wholeness begins when you start choosing honesty over approval. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. People treat you exactly how you allow them to. Not how you hope they will. Not how they should. Not how you deserve. They treat you based on the standards you set, the boundaries you enforce, and the behavior you accept without speaking up. If someone constantly talks over you, interrupts you, or ignores your input, and you just let it slide with a smile, they will keep doing it. If someone cancels plans last minute, uses you as a backup option, and you still say, it's okay, every time, they will never take you seriously. If someone raises their voice at you, blames you unfairly, or makes jokes at your expense, and you laugh it off or stay silent, they will think it's fine. Why? Because you didn't correct them. You didn't teach them how to treat you. You didn't make it clear where the line is drawn. And here's what you need to understand. Setting boundaries doesn't make you difficult. It makes you clear. It tells people, this is where my dignity lies. This is how I expect to be spoken to. This is what I will not accept. But if you never speak that truth, you send a different message. A message that says, I'll tolerate this, even if deep down you're hurting, angry, or fed up. You can't keep complaining about how people treat you while continuing to give them the same access, the same trust, and the same grace they haven't earned. That's not love. That's not kindness. That's self-betrayal. Every time you let someone cross your boundaries without consequence, you're telling them that your comfort is optional, your time is flexible, and your worth is negotiable. And it's not. Some people will only respect your boundaries once they feel the sting of not having access to you anymore. And that's okay. Let them feel it. You are not here to constantly explain, beg, or remind people how to treat you. You are here to model it, protect it, and walk away from anything less. Now, this isn't about walking around with a chip on your shoulder or being hostile to everyone who gets on your nerves. It's about learning how to stand firm in your values and not shrinking just to make others comfortable. It's about knowing that peace doesn't come from keeping everyone happy. It comes from honoring your own worth first. When you stop accepting half-hearted effort, you make room for real effort. When you stop laughing at disrespect masked as jokes, you make room for real respect. When you stop over-explaining why you're saying no, you make room for peace. And most importantly, when you stop tolerating poor treatment, the wrong people start falling away and the right ones start to show up. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to yell. You don't even have to argue. All you have to do is stop allowing behavior that dishonors who you are. Your silence will be louder than any speech. Your absence will say more than any long explanation. Your refusal to keep playing along will be the moment people realize you're not the same girl who used to accept crumbs and call it a meal. It all starts with you. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate, by what you accept, and by what you keep giving your time and energy to. So if you're tired of feeling used, overlooked, or disrespected, don't just look at them. Look at yourself. Ask, what have I allowed for too long? What have I excused just to avoid confrontation? What have I accepted that I know deep down doesn't sit right with me? It's time to stop playing the nice girl who makes room for everyone and start becoming the strong woman who only makes room for what's right. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you, especially when that access keeps costing you your peace, your confidence, and your self-respect. So from this moment on, make a promise to yourself, I will no longer allow what I do not deserve. I will no longer make excuses for people who keep showing me who they are. I will no longer wait for someone to change before I decide to choose myself. That's how respect is earned, not just from others, but from yourself. Let's get one thing clear right now: being liked is not the goal. Being real is. Because being liked might get you temporary approval, but being real gets you freedom. Being liked makes you a character people are comfortable with, but being real makes you a force people respect. And if you want to live a life where you are respected, valued, and at peace, you've got to let go of this constant, exhausting need to be liked by everybody. Trying to be liked is a full-time job that pays you in stress and overthinking. You say things you don't mean. You smile when you want to speak up. You stay quiet because you don't want to seem rude. You agree with opinions that go against your values just so nobody looks at you sideways. But let me ask you this. What's the point of being liked if the version of you they like isn't even real? You weren't born to live in a mask. You weren't created to be palatable. And you're not here to make everybody comfortable while you sit in silence, shrinking who you are. The truth is, realness is rare. People aren't used to it. And sometimes when you show up real, people might not know what to do with you at first. But over time, those who matter will come to respect you. And those who don't, they'll leave. And that's a blessing, not a loss. Being real means saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It means showing up with honesty even when it's not the popular thing to do. It means holding your ground even if it ruffles a few feathers. It means choosing truth over performance, authenticity over approval. And listen, being real doesn't mean being loud, angry, or confrontational all the time. It means being true to who you are, your thoughts, your standards, your energy, your boundaries. It means that if something doesn't sit right with you, you speak on it. If you don't want to do something, you say no without guilt. If you have an idea, an opinion, or a truth to share, you do so without watering it down. Because when you show up real, you attract people who value that realness. You start building relationships built on trust and honesty instead of surface-level vibes. You start getting opportunities that align with the real you, not the version of you that was performing for approval. People will start coming to you not because you're agreeable, but because they know you're authentic. On the flip side, chasing the need to be liked forces you to become a version of yourself that's based on what other people want. And the problem with that is people's opinions change constantly. What they like today, they'll criticize tomorrow. So if your identity is rooted in being liked, you'll forever be shifting, bending, and molding yourself just to stay acceptable. That's not living, that's surviving. Real people might not be everyone's favorite, but they are always respected. And when you're real, you can sleep at night knowing you didn't betray yourself for anyone's comfort. You can look in the mirror and be proud of the person staring back at you. That kind of peace is priceless. So if you've been hiding your opinions just to keep the peace, if you've been saying yes when your soul is screaming no, if you've been biting your tongue because you're afraid of being judged, it's time to shift. It's time to stop molding yourself to be likable and start showing up as your full, honest, powerful self. Because the right people, the ones who are truly meant for your life, they don't want the version of you that's pretending. They want the version of you that's free. So no, not everyone will like you. And that's okay. That's not your job. Your job is to be real. And trust me, when you're real, the right ones will find you, the wrong ones will fall away, and you'll finally start to feel the freedom you've been craving all along. Let's stop pretending that shrinking yourself is some noble act of kindness. It's not. Playing small doesn't serve anyone, not you, and definitely not the people around you. You think you're helping others by staying quiet, by not taking up space, by downplaying your talent, your voice, your dreams. But what you're really doing is making it easier for everyone else to stay comfortable while you stay stuck. There's this lie a lot of women were raised to believe, that being humble means being invisible, that if you stand out too much, speak too loudly, or shine too brightly, you're being too much. So you learn to dim your light. You downplay your accomplishments. You second guess your instincts. You pretend you don't know the answer when you do. You apologize for your confidence. You water yourself down to make sure you don't intimidate anybody. And while you're over there shrinking, hoping to be liked, the world is missing out on what you were actually put here to do. Because here's the truth. You're not protecting anybody's feelings by playing small. All you're doing is teaching people how to ignore your value. All you're doing is telling yourself and everyone else that you're not worthy of being seen, heard, or taken seriously. It doesn't help your friends when you lower your standards just to fit in. It doesn't help your coworkers when you keep your best ideas to yourself because you're afraid they'll think you're showing off. It doesn't help your partner when you pretend to be okay with things that are slowly killing your spirit. Playing small doesn't lift anyone up. It just makes you disappear. And when you disappear, you slowly stop believing in yourself. You start to forget what you're capable of. You start to think maybe you were never that special in the first place. That's what playing small does. It chips away at your confidence until you're no longer sure if your voice even matters. But let me remind you, your voice matters. Your power matters. Your presence matters. And when you hold that back, when you keep all that light to yourself, the world stays dimmer than it was meant to be. You were never meant to be invisible. You were never meant to settle. You were never meant to be the background character in your own life. But you can't keep waiting for permission to take up space. Nobody's going to walk up to you and say, now is your time to shine. That's something you have to decide for yourself. The truth is, people benefit when you show up fully. When you speak your truth, someone else finds the courage to speak theirs. When you own your success, someone else gets inspired to go after theirs. When you stop apologizing for who you are, you give other women permission to do the same. That's real leadership. That's real strength. That's how you help, not by making yourself small, but by being bold enough to be fully, unapologetically you. You think you're being nice by staying quiet. But what if being quiet is costing you your purpose? What if the very thing someone else needs is the thing you're holding back because you don't want to make anyone uncomfortable? Let them be uncomfortable. Let them adjust to your power. Let them figure out how to handle your truth. You weren't made to keep everyone happy. You were made to make a difference. And you can't make a difference if you keep pretending you don't have something special to give. So stop tiptoeing around your greatness. Stop apologizing for your presence. Stop waiting for someone to ask you to rise. The moment you decide you're done playing small, that's the moment everything changes. Not just for you, but for the people who've been waiting to see someone like you stand tall and walk boldly. You want to help others. Start by showing them what it looks like to stop shrinking. Start by showing up in your full power. That's how you make space, not by stepping back, but by stepping up. Let's break this down right now. Confidence isn't about being loud, flashy, or the center of attention. It's not about walking into a room and making everyone look at you. That's performance. That's noise. Real confidence, it's quieter than that. It's internal. It's rooted. It's calm. Confidence is when you walk into that room and don't need anyone to look at you, because you already know who you are. You don't need a round of applause to believe in yourself. You don't need permission to stand tall. You don't need validation to feel worthy. Confidence is knowing you are enough even when no one's clapping for you. The reason so many people struggle with confidence is because they keep looking for it in the wrong places. They think it'll come from compliments, from likes, from followers, from people saying, "You're amazing." But if your confidence is built on other people's opinions, it will crumble the moment those opinions change. And trust me, opinions always change. You can be the hero today and the villain tomorrow. You can do everything right and still not be enough for someone else. So the real question is, are you enough for you? Confidence starts when you stop performing and start being. When you stop asking, "What do they think of me?" and start asking, "What do I think of me?" Confidence isn't about getting it perfect. It's not about never having doubts. It's about showing up anyway. It's about saying, even if I mess up, I still believe in my worth. It's about no longer letting fear or other people's approval decide what you go after, how you carry yourself, or who you become. And here's something important. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you choose. It's a decision you make every day. You wake up and decide, today I'm going to own my space. Today I'm going to speak up even if my voice shakes. Today I'm not going to let that rejection define me. Today I'm not going to shrink. Confidence is a daily decision to believe in yourself, not because the world says you should, but because you've decided you are worth it. You don't need to have the loudest voice in the room. You don't need to be the boldest person on social media. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. All you need is that quiet, unshakable belief that you have something valuable to offer, and nobody can take that from you. Not a failed relationship, not a job loss, not a missed opportunity. None of it defines you. Confidence is when you know your value doesn't go up or down based on who approves of you. It's easy to confuse confidence with arrogance, but they couldn't be more different. Arrogance screams for attention. Confidence doesn't need it. Arrogance is insecure and hungry for praise. Confidence is full. It's satisfied with self-respect. When you're truly confident, you don't compete, you don't compare, you don't beg for love. You just live fully, boldly, and unapologetically because you know your worth isn't on trial. And let me say this clearly, you don't have to be perfect to be confident. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to meet every goal or check every box. Confidence is not the result of success. Confidence is the fuel that gets you through the failures. It's what keeps you moving when it feels like nothing's working. It's what helps you stand tall when life tries to knock you down. It's what reminds you in the middle of chaos that you still matter. You can walk away from people who don't see your worth and still know that you're valuable. You can say no without guilt. You can raise your standards without apology. Because confidence means you trust yourself. It means your voice matters. Your choices matter. You matter with or without applause. So stop waiting for someone to tell you you're enough. Stop chasing approval. Stop measuring your worth by someone else's reaction. Stand in your truth. Own your story. Walk in your power. And remember, real confidence doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be yours.